Hi, thank you for watching. In today's show, I'm going to go over a couple examples from the homework I gave you tonight on September 9th. We're going to be dealing with multiplication rules for probability. It would be a good thing to have your homework out in front of you right now so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So if you don't, I would pause this video, get out your homework, and then I would resume it so you can kind of follow along with me. I'll go over the first three problems. Again, you got to do front and back. It's not going to take you too long, and any questions you have, you can always bring them into me tomorrow. So let's start with number one. It says, I roll a six-sided die and toss a coin. I want to figure out the probability that I get a heads and a six. So I need to figure out the probability. Again, I'll write this number one. The probability that I get a heads and a six. You have to honestly bear with me with this writing. This is freaking terrible. Wow. Okay. A heads and a six. Well, what's the probability that I get a heads on a coin? Yeah, it's a half. And the probability that I get a 6 on a regular standard dice is 1 out of 6. Well, we have to be very careful here with this symbol. It says and, meaning I have to get a heads and a 6. Remember, the difference between the ands and the or statements is the or. I could either get a head or a 6, or both of them, but at least one of them. Well, here's a big different case because I have an and symbol, meaning I must get a heads and a 6 to make this statement here true. And I want to figure out the probability that I get a heads and a 6. Is just a simple multiplication rule. So I have 1/2 times a 6. And I end up getting, yes, you guessed it, 1 times 1 is 12, 2 times 6. 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 6 is 12. So the probability that I get a heads and a 6 would be 1 out of 12. Okay, I'll clear this page. Let's look at number 2. I roll 3 dice. What's the probability that I get 3 ones? Again, I want to figure out the probability that I get 3 ones on a regular dice. So what's the probability that I get a 1? The probability that I get a 1 on the second dice, and the probability that I get a 1 on the third dice. Well, the probability that I get a 1 on the first dice is 1 out of 6. The probability that I get a 1 on the second dice is 1 out of 6. And again, on the third dice, 1 out of 6. So really what I have is 1 out of 6 cubed. So the probability that I get 3 ones is equal to 1 out of 6 cubed, which is 1 out of 216. You roll 3 dice, the probability that I get all 3 ones is 1 out of 216. That means if you would do this experiment 216 times, you're going to get 3 ones 1 time out of every 216 attempts. And I'll get rid of this one, and I'll do my last and final one of the day. Number 3. I draw a card from a poker deck. I know that sounds weird, but a deck of cards has 52 cards in a deck. So I have 52 cards in a deck. I'm going to replace it. That's a key word there. It says replace it, meaning after I draw it, I'm going to put it back in the deck, and then I'm going to draw another one. I want to find the probability that I get 2 aces. So the probability that I get 2 aces. So what's the probability that I get 1 ace? So let's find the probability that I get an ace on my first draw, and then a probability that I get an ace on my second draw. Well, the probability I get an ace on my first draw is, yes, 4 out of 52, because there's 4 aces in a deck of cards. And since I am replacing it and putting it back into the deck, on the second chance, I'm still going to have a 4 out of 52 chance. Multiplying these probabilities together, I have 4 out of 52 squared, since I have 2 of them. And I know obviously 4 squared is 16, and 52 squared, I do not know off the top of my head. Let's go to my handy dandy calculator here, and let's say we have 52 times 52, and I get 2,704. So I record that, 2,704. I'll actually find an exact probability here. So let's take 16 divided by 2,704, and I end up getting 0.005917. 5917. So that's not my percent yet. Just to find my percentage, I can move over the decimal place 2 spots. So it's 0.5917%. So a little more than half a percent is your probability of you drawing 2 aces. So if I gave you a deck of cards, you draw an ace, what's the chances of you drawing another ace? Well, it's a little more than half a percent, which is not that high. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any more questions on your homework, please feel free to bring in any questions you have tomorrow during class, and I hope I could take care of that either before class or at the end of the day on the 10th, which is tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and have a good evening.